the charge is light. Tonight the sea learns how to fight. Where silent killers never rise. Minefields waiting cold and still. Another job, another thrill. Harpoon loaded, blade held tight. Breathing darkness through the night. Cobra eels can't stand their ground till they hear that thunder sound. Pressure don't mean nothing here. Fear's the one thing I don't wear. Give me orders, point the way. I'll make my own kind of day. Sea of fire, light the blue, burning straight on through. Every charge another spark, turning oceans into dark. Sea of fire, hear me roar, blow that fortress off the shore. When the smoke meets morning's light, the mission's done. We own the night. Hey, he's heard it all. Never cared for protocol. He's no guest at fancy teas. He'd rather bring 'em to their knees. Knife and grit, that's all I need. Never learn the word retreat. If it's breathing cobra air, he's already headed there. Nobody told him not to try. Nobody said don't make 'em fly. One more fuse and one more grin. That's exactly where he'll begin. Sea of fire, light the blue, burning straight on through. Every charge another spark, turning oceans into dark. Sea of fire, hear him roar, blow that fortress off the shore. When the smoke meets morning's light, the mission's done. We own the night. No safe harbor, no easy road, just salt and steel and heavy loads. 175 pounds of mean, cutting through the enemy's dreams. Underwater, born to fight. The ocean knows his name tonight. Sea of fire, let it burn. There ain't no point of no return. Shockwaves rolling through the deep, waking monsters from their sleep. Sea of fire, clear the way. We'll raise hell beneath the bay. When the battle's said and done, we'll watch the sun rise one by one. Sea of fire, sea of fire. Under the waves we stand alone. The darkest waters are our home. Another charge, another dive, another cobra won't survive. The sea goes quiet after the fire.
Yo, Joe, listen up, I got a story to tell about a guy named Logan. Oh, he's so swell.
Wait, that's me.
I'm the G.I. Joe gamer, cool and witty, talking about those characters, heroes and villains. On Wednesday nights we shout, Yo, Joe,
Or Cobra.
talking about the Joe team and a Cobra tide. Yo, Joe, Cobra, Cobra. I'm here to give my G.I. Joe takes. Oh yeah, Yo, Joe, Cobra, Cobra. about the characters. It's a G.I. Joe thing. Oh yeah! Let's do this.
Mature content warning. On Logan's Joe Takes, strategic commentary may include strong language, heated opinions, classified references. Time to call in the Joes. Opposing forces may attempt audio interference. Logan's Joe Takes. Mission begins now.
Oh, would I do a thing like that?
Yes, I would. Welcome to Joe Takes. I'm Logan, the G.I. Joe Gamer. Tonight we're talking wetsuit. Had that clip for a long time, and it's nice to actually be able to use the clip in his Joe Takes. So here we go. Okay, now wetsuit. Let's just jump right in looking at some figures tonight. Wetsuit is the second seal that came out in 1986. Well, not the second seal that came out. The second seal. Who came out in 1986. The first seal came out in 1983, and that was Torpedo. But we're gonna focus on this guy here tonight. Now, must have had two at one point because I've got an extra backpack, an extra little underwater sled, air hose for his backpack, and a flashlight, which I always use as like a little hammer, and the little handle wore off. I used it so much, so that's likely my original one. But I do have a 1986 wetsuit, complete and intact, with all accessories. Now, this has got a little break in it, but other than that, this guy is 100% complete. The backpack, where the hose attaches to the backpack and comes around and pegs onto the face as part of the air intake. You know. And then he's got his sled so that when he's underwater, like this. You know what? There it is. It did come with two flippers, and in spite of how many of these guys I've had and how many of these flippers I have, I could only find one. So I'm not going to bother showing you what they look like on him, but I do have other wetsuits we're going to look at that have their flippers all intact, and they're all different. So it's interesting. Otherwise, I'd just swap them out. That would have been nice, wouldn't it? But here we go. That's the 1986 wetsuit. One of the coolest looking figures of 1986, right up there with Beachhead, I think. Leatherneck, great. That was a great year for G.I. Joe. Not as good as '85, but it was a nice follow-up to the best year of G.I. Joe, to be honest. And that's mine. '85 had some of the coolest figures ever. In 1993, and I'm pretty sure, let me double check on yojo.com real quick, but I am pretty sure that in 1992 and 1993 they brought out the same wetsuit. And in 1992, I'm pretty sure, yes, in 1992 was the yellow one, which I have, yellow and black, and in 1993 they had the orange and black, which I do not have, because at the time I'm like, I already got wetsuit, what do I need another one for? And I like the yellow look. Now, the orange probably matches the original better, but this one, he had three little orange missiles that I have somewhere. I have an entire bag of missiles and launchers, but I didn't really care for that feature. But it's a nice update to the sled, and we'll take a look here. But he had his flippers, so I got them on him. And then he came with this gun, weird thing with a fin on it, I guess, to help him swim. I don't know. Not really sure, but his helmet comes off. The original doesn't, so we'll take a look. And that is pretty close to what he looked like in the cartoon. And that is relevant with the classified that we're going to be looking at as well. Yeah, a little trigger. And I thought, because I had a little yellow missile in here, that because the trigger mechanism was yellow, that it was a yellow missile. Now, maybe they were, because the very next year they came out and it was all orange. So maybe but I'm pretty sure that they were yellow. That's how I remember them. So it came with 3, at least according to yojo.com. And so it's a cool update to the 1986 version. Of course, I had to drop something because we're on Joe Takes, but nice update, like I said. And this was the 92 wetsuit. In 2002 or 2003, I'm pretty sure it was 2002. It came out with this version of wetsuit. Now he's got a very different mold. He's not an O-ring figure. Very similar to what they started doing in 2007 when they came out with the 25th anniversary line, but not quite. This is a bigger, bulkier suit. Now this would have been great for a Deep Six figure, but this is all his accessories now. That's not his harpoon gun, but that's the one it came with. I got that out of an accessory pack. I have no idea where this particular wetsuit's harpoon gun went. I've got some of the accessories all over. I'm still trying to sort them and pair them up and with the original figures and stuff, and put them in my little these little baggies here is how I store my figures. So this is for the 1986 wetsuit. But no, this was an interesting update, and his helmet comes off too, and he looks a lot more like the wetsuit from the cartoon. So we're starting to get a pattern on what wetsuit officially looks like, because the cartoon took liberties, and I'm glad they did, because then we had something to draw on and something to base things off of. They came out with a different one, a different color the same year, but he came with a wave runner or a jet ski. Now his was blue, and I have it, but it's in my storage. I happened to have this one out that came with depth charge or wet down. I can't remember which, but because I got like 3 of these. And so I figured it's the same. It's exactly the same, just different colors. I figured I might as well use the one I got sitting out here on my battle platform to show you what he came with. And so this was the set. He came with the little jet ski. And that's how I acquired this particular wetsuit, because I was like, man, I want another one of those jet skis. I thought they were pretty cool. Got a couple. Now, you know what? He came with I'm pretty sure he came in a 2-pack. This is the wetsuit that came with the jet ski in 2008. I'm sorry. So let's get my facts straight here. So, yeah, he came, like I said, it was the same color as his outfit, matched up really good, but it's the same jet ski, so no big deal. I thought I'd show it off a little bit, because this wetsuit was pretty good, and I got his gear somewhere, but he came with his own battle stand with his name on it, which I thought was cool. And yeah, he had 2 knives. Somehow I lost the other one, but this actually comes out, and they did that more and more with the 25th anniversary line, and as they were trying to update their the way they made the G.I. Joe figures. But that is all the 3 3/4 and 4 wetsuits that I have, which is a lot larger collection than I thought, because I didn't remember getting the one with the jet ski for the 25th anniversary line. I was like, oh yeah, I got one of those too. That's cool. There was a time I was working, and I had money, and I just bought things to buy things, because I was trying to get everything, and that was in the early 2000s. So I got a lot of that early G.I. Joe, G.I. Joe versus Cobra, Valor versus Venom, Spy Troop stuff, and it was pretty cool. A lot of it was very, especially the vehicles. Some of the coolest vehicles ever came out in that line. They had the Thunderwing, which is an F-22, and they had the Patriot Grizzly tank, the best tank they ever put out for G.I. Joe. Now those would be some that I'd like to see. And Wild Bill came with the Patriot Grizzly, which was interesting. He's a helicopter pilot, but he can also drive a tank, which means he can drive, he can fly. Transport is his game, man. All right, so here's the box for wetsuit, the classified version, G.I. Joe wetsuit. And I'm surprised they didn't put Brian wetsuit for us. They even made a big deal out of his name in the cartoon. He is number 179 in the series, which is amazing. Nobody ever thought this series would take off, and it way has taken off. It's one of the most popular action figure lines available right now. And they updated him completely with the C sled and the the flashlight and the backpack. And now there's a bit right here on the backpack where it shows that you can pair up the C sled with the backpack and peg it in. And I was like, I was grumbling because I'm like, man, what are you supposed to do with this stupid thing? And I just, for some reason, didn't even look at that, you know. But, you know, yeah, older collectors, it's different. Hello, Betty. It's good to have you with us. Nice to see you. Hope everything's going well for you. And happy Friday. Glad to see you. I will load up your clip for later when Tiger shows up, and we say hello and give everybody shout outs. Let everybody know you were here if you're not still here, and we appreciate you just popping in. So it's good to see you. Thank you so much for joining me. I am talking G.I. Joe wetsuit tonight, and let me get into the shout out clips, and there's yours, Betty. Okay, loading up, so it'll be ready to go when Tiger gets here and we do our shout outs. But all right, now there was a sticker right here, and I tried to remove it, and it's gonna take some time, but every time I pull the box out, I keep getting rid of more and more of this stickum. So eventually, because it's on a waxy film, it's kind of waxy box, it's kind of cool, glossy, very nice box. So it's not like and it even shows in the image. Look at that. I was like looking at that, going, how come he's got that like that, And then I didn't realize, as I was looking at this sled, and I'll show you. It's on his backpack right now. I got it on there because it's really hard to put together. I'll take it apart once, but I'm gonna try to put it back on camera because it's a pain in the butt. And he's got updated flippers, same as Torpedoes. They finally got smart and decided to make all the G.I. Joe flippers roughly the same, and they can fit on any of the other guys' feet. So they're interchangeable. And he's got his, like I said, we'll get into that. I'm going to take the backpack and the helmet off here first. But, you can see his eyes through the helmet. It's really cool. But because of the hoses, it pushes it up a lot. So sometimes the eyes don't line up with the visor, which is okay. We're talking toys here. So I'll pop this off his back and take the helmet off. Yes, you can detach these hoses from the mask and from the backpack, and I'll do that to show you at least once. But I wanted to show you the whole setup, the whole rig all together. As we look at wetsuit here. Now, he looks just like the cartoon. So now we finally got a cartoon accurate wetsuit, which I think is really cool. Because comics didn't care. They had his mask on or just showed a regular dude underneath, which was all right. I am supposed to have my comments showing on stage. Hello, cool gamer. It's nice to see you, buddy. We'll load up your trip too, but it's good to have you in the house. Welcome. Let's say hi in the chat to you like I normally do. We're continue talking about wetsuit here, but like I said, I will load up the cool gamer clip. When we do shout outs, we'll be ready to give you a shout out. But like I said, I'm gonna take them off the battle stand because it's cool because they set up the flippers. We got Lost Husky in the house too. All right, cool. The flippers actually have peg holes so that you could put him on a battle stand when he's got his flippers on. What's up? Getting all sorts of comments right now. So it's good to see you, Lost Husky. All sorts of messages tonight. So you load up your clip and then we'll shout you out when Tiger gets here in about 45 minutes, a little over. But 3 of you going so far. That's cool. Nice to see everybody. Hope you're enjoying chatting about G.I. Joe. Stick around. No, that's cool too. Not everybody's into G.I. Joe. That's why I started a little early. But yeah, he's got the flashlight, and I'm gonna bring the vintage up here, the original, just to compare a little bit. He's got the flashlight, very similar design. I think the update is way better. Even has the lens on it, which is cool. And we'll look at the sleds too. So set him down there. I'm going to show you his pistol, which is designed for use underwater or on the surface, so he can use it underwater or on land even. So no biggie. It's a waterproof gun. So there you go. Don't know what kind of pistol that is, but or if it's even a real world pistol. It's a GI Joe thing. And he's got a combat knife. So he's got his sidearm and his combat knife, so he's good to go. Now, as far as primary weapons is concerned, he's got the flashlight, which he can use to whack people with, or bash, or shine the light in their face. Or, you were in the hospital on Tuesday morning, Lost Husky? I'm so sorry to hear that. I hope you're doing all right. Hope things went okay. We all know what that's like. Not a fun experience, and I'm glad you're here with us tonight, buddy. Hope you're doing okay. All right, wetsuit. So yeah, very nice update, and like I said, I'll bring him up. The original helmet did not come off; it was just a solid piece, so we didn't know what wetsuit really looked like. But he did have the molded-on sidearm and the knife. And other updates, they just gave him 2 knives for some reason. I don't know why, but this one sticks true to the original, has the sidearm and the knife, so the combat knife. He's got really decent flippers, so this is a really, really cool update of wetsuit. And I was happy to get him because I had Leatherneck for a long time, and I always liked wetsuit better than Leatherneck. I've had a greater appreciation for Leatherneck over the last couple of years. I wasn't really a big fan. You're good now, Lost Husky? That's nice to hear, buddy. I'm glad. I hope things go well for you and your recovery is good. You said you're good now, so hope everything stays that way, my friend. All right, so he's got a watch so he can do timers because he does underwater demolitions, and then he's got a wristband here. And this is what's cool about this flashlight. It's got this little loop that you can loop it around the wrist so he can hold his. He can go for his sidearm, and he drops the flashlight. But even underwater, the flashlight doesn't float away, or he doesn't even drop it. I mean, he just lets it go, and it hangs there from the cord on his wrist, and then it just slides right off, just like this. And you've got this cool little flashlight. High intensity underwater waterproof flashlight. Badass. Like I said, you can use it as a weapon. If anybody's had a mag light, they know what I'm talking about. Those things are heavy and heavy duty. And this is GI Joe quality, so it's probably even more so. That's the way I imagine it. That's going to take us to the backpack. Now, he's got the oxygen tank. Got the 2 hoses that plug in right there and right there. I'll take the mask off. We'll look at the mask last because it's really cool, and I'll put it back on his head. And then it's got the sea sled, the underwater sea sled, or on the surface too. He could use it either way. That's why it's just the sea sled. And it's pegged in to the bottom of the backpack. Now, like I said, it takes some effort to peg it in. It's got a really good thing. It's not going to come off once you put it in there unless you pull it out like I just did. And it's got a little handle so he can hold his backpack at the top, which is kind of cool. I like that. Compared to the original backpack, it's very similar. They did a really cool update for it. I really dig the update. And it's got these 2 supports down here, these little pegs that sit right on his back, so it's not pushing the peg out like some of the other backpacks do when you put it in, and it keeps it level, so it's the same all the time. Instead of when you push it in, the backpack will pop the peg out. This one won't do that, and I love it when they do that with these classified backpacks. So it's kind of cool. I really dig this update. Then you got your sled. Now, when I first took a look at this, now I'm gonna grab this sled here from the bag. I'm not trying to pull it out of his. That plastic is very fragile on those vintage figures, so I'm not going to mess with that on camera. I've had incidents where we've lost ankles and thumbs, so you don't want to do that tonight. Okay, but here's the sea sled up close. It had a flashlight on it. This one doesn't have lights. It just has the intake and the fans to propel him. Each one, and they're just all one color. There's no paint apps on this. You got the black plastic, and you've got the orange molded plastic around it. And side by side, this is quite the update, right? But I'm looking at this going, well, this new one, I was like, where does he hold it? It's like these are the handles right here, believe it or not. And I thought they were like way too big for the hands, but they're not. And I was really surprised that his hands just fit. It takes a little effort, but once he gets it on there, his hands fit on these pretty snug. It's getting the thumb around the bottom part that's the tricky part, without messing things up. But see, yeah, you can hold it really snug. And it's actually designed for the classified size hands, so it's pretty cool. And yeah, he can grip both. I'm not gonna sit here and try to do that on camera, but he can grip both, and then he can be propelled on the sea sled underwater or on the surface, which is pretty badass. I like the concept back in the day, because he's got the fans on this part on the inside there, and he's got the intake, and then he's got a light, which I thought was cool. But I also used to imagine that was a laser too underwater, because they're fighting Cobra. They got to have some weapons, but it doesn't have any kind of lasers on this. I wasn't sure what the heck that was. I was kind of disappointed that this didn't connect to him anyway, like the original didn't. It's just something he had. It was handheld. But at first I was like, man, he can't even hold it. How is he supposed to take this around? And then it was like, I looked at the box and I'm like, oh, are you kidding me? And I saw that peg, and I'm like, that looks like a peg. And so I was looking at the backpack, and it even shows you on the box, and you got to line it up just right, and then it pops in there, and then it stays. So yeah, I did it, even though I said I wouldn't. I managed to put them back together. So, all right, last but not least, we got the helmet with the hoses, and like I said, they peg right into the backpack. They also peg into the mask, and they both come off. And you got a helmet that looks a lot like the original. They did such a good job updating this particular helmet. Color-wise and look of the thing, it was pretty cool. So, at least I think so. And then, it just slides really snugly on Wetsuit's head. And he's Wetsuit. I mean, the way the original figure is, I mean, it's his best of both worlds. You've got the cartoon accurate head sculpt, and you've got the action figure accurate helmet on him. So this is a Wetsuit figure. I thought they did such a super job updating this guy that it was worthy of a Joe take. And I was like, all right, I get to talk about Wetsuit. He's from 1986, and I get to talk about it on episode Joe Takes 86. I mean, this is Fridays from the Hill 128, but Joe Takes is on 86, so there we go. So when I release this as its own video, it'll be number 86. That's Wetsuit, the classified, and some of the vintage for you to see. And now I'm going to set all this stuff over here on my table, and we're going to talk some about the character. But before we do that, I'm going to go ahead and play the file card video so you guys can get to know the character. I used to try to read the file cards and stuff out, and it's just, I found it so much cooler to present it to you in this format as a video. And what did I do with it? It doesn't look like I upload. So let me upload it, because I thought I had done that, and apparently I had not. Feeling silly at the moment, but that's life. We forget to do things all the time, so, especially as we get older. So, oh, I see why I didn't, because I didn't even put them in the didn't even do it. Okay, but yeah, so I've got, and I didn't play the song at the beginning. I should have known something was up, but I'll add it in when I make it a video. I'll set it up at the beginning, but I'll play it later on in Radio from the Hilt tonight. And it's in the On Joe Takes video that I'll play at the end of this Joe Takes, so you'll get to see it anyway. So, but I got a comic we can look at. It's the only one that he was really on the cover of, and it's one of my favorites because he's with one of my very favorite Joes. My third favorite Joe, Beachhead, is on the cover with him. That came out the same year, and it's the first appearance on a cover of General Hawk in his general's outfit. So it's we'll talk about that. It was a really cool issue, and a lot went down in that storyline, and there's plenty to talk about there. And he got a little bit of the cartoon to talk about, but I'm just stretching. So my file card video will load, and I apologize for not having loaded that up first. But here it is. Codename Wetsuit.
Yo, Joe. Codename Wetsuit. Seal. File name Brian M. Forrest. Grade E6 Petty Officer First Class U.S. Navy. Birthplace Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. Primary specialty SEAL. Secondary specialty UDT. Underwater demolitions. Wetsuit has been characterized as being 175 pounds of mean on the hoof and is definitely not known for his social graces. He is not the type who goes over very well at the chaplain assistant social tea, but he is exactly the dude you want behind you when you run into a gaggle of cobra eels in a shallow minefield. Amazing how much damage he can do with a K-bar knife and a weighted belt. From General Hawk's file, he's a perfect SEAL right up until he starts hanging out with Leatherneck. The two make a great team, they just need to cease their endless banter of a bromance. Well, with all due respect, nobody told me not to blow it up, sir! Just give me the target and get me under the waves so I can stop those slimy buckets of fish bait.
All right, that's Wetsuit's file card. I was just moving these videos around so that they were ready to go when I needed them. I didn't. That was the problem. I didn't have them reorganized here for the show, as it were. And I should have done that. But like I said, I will play that later as part of Radio from the Hilt, the full song. But it will be as part of On Joe Takes at the end of the video. So we will be doing that. Let's get some more of this music on in the background if we continue talking, because that's going to take us to the character of the comic book, which this is one of the few characters who I prefer the cartoon appearances of. However, he was pretty cool in the comics too. He had some memorable appearances. One was with Torpedo, the two SEALs, in yearbook number 4, where him and Torpedo infiltrated Cobra Island, meandered around, basically watched the October Guard tangle with Cobra, and did what they were supposed to, and then left. Perfect SEAL mission. They didn't screw up or anything. They were just doing their jobs and had fun doing it. And watching October Guard and Cobra. They basically tangled with Proc Masters, so they didn't really fare that well. But they were way tougher than Proc Masters. But with all his crocodiles and stuff, we got Christopher Works in the house. Hello, Christopher Works. Load up your clip; it'll be ready to go when Tiger gets here. Wetsuit was your first G.I. Joe? Well, this is the Joe Take for you, then, sir. Yeah. We got Wetsuit's very first appearance is right on the first page. He's right there, down in the corner. You can hardly see him, but we'll talk this comic book. But there's a scene. Forever will I love the Devilfish because of this comic book, not because of the cartoon, the devilfish boats were cool in the cartoon, but in this particular scene, Hawk, Wetsuit, and Beachhead, right here, Hawk signs, he picks his two-man team and says, "Let's do this," and they hop on the devilfish, which they had basically were being towed by the whale there, and Snake Eyes and Storm Shadow were in this, battling it out, escaping Cobra Islands, which Storm Shadow decided he wasn't Cobra anymore, officially. And there you go. You got Hawk and Beachhead jumping off there as they get ran over. But Wetsuit comes and picks him up. He's driving the devilfish there, and you got some really cool shots. And when Tiger comes on, yeah, she comes on here in about 25 minutes. She'll be on here as soon as I'm done with this Joe take. Yes, sir. And so you had the devilfish, and you had this really cool scene where Storm Shadow is battling the eels, and Snake Eyes gets overwhelmed with all these sharks. I mean, we're talking, we had all this shit going on, and it's Wetsuit's first appearance. Somebody's walking out of the surf onto the beach. It looks like Storm Shadow. They thought Snake Eyes was done for, but nope. They're still here where Snake Eyes decides the sharks were done for because he decided he was killing sharks. So Larry Hammond decided he was going to jump the shark, but he didn't. He had Snake Eyes killing sharks. It was pretty awesome. But there you go. This is the one where the Baroness guns down Storm Shadow on the beach, and everybody thought he was dead for a while, but he went into the Sleeping Phoenix. But yeah, Baroness is a badass too, But he was weak and tired from fighting eels and sharks, and he was stumbling out of the surf. Which, man, if you've been to the beach, you know what I'm talking about. That takes a lot of effort to come up out of the surf, and then that was Wetsuit's first appearance. So much awesome aquatic action. That Beachhead driving the devilfish here, but it was Wetsuit in the comic. But that's a pretty good shot of Wetsuit there. Very cool. I really dug this issue. Glad I get to share it with you tonight. And yeah, I've got I keep my comics one on back to front. Saves on bags and boards for me. I would rather have them all in their own bags and boards, but man, it takes up a lot of space when you do that too. So I've got 48 on the back with Gung Ho and Zartan. It's pretty cool. But Larry Hama wrote G.I. Joe like nobody else, and I love this comic. Happy to share it with you. I think I've shared this one before, but not with Wetsuit focused in mind on that one. And that was, after that, he very, very rarely was he ever with Leatherneck in the comic book. It wasn't that bromance that was in the comics. That was in the cartoon. But Wetsuit was there whenever they had aquatic missions and stuff. But pretty much in the comics, other than the yearbook with Torpedo, not much Seal stories. I mean, usually Larry Hama would focus on Torpedo, and for me, Torpedo is a cooler character too. So I get that, but it was nice when Larry Hama paired them up. Got these two SEALs going on a mission. That was badass. Now, so that was basically his comic book appearance, which, like I said, I think he shined in the cartoon, and he was in both. He was in the Sunbow and he was in the Deep cartoon. But Deep cartoon, not so much. And he was there, but he was just that SEAL guy. Their water trooper, basically, for that particular cartoon. They didn't really know what they were doing right in G.I. Joe, and it was kind of sad that they wanted that contract. I mean, I know why they wanted the contract, because in the 80s and 90s, and they got it right at the end of the 80s, that was like the hot property. I mean, G.I. Joe was still one of the hottest selling action figures out there. So they were putting out, 30 figures a year almost back then. And then in the 90s, they really cranked them out, trying to still sell them, but I think they saturated the market a little too much. The shotgun method didn't work in that case. We got a Rudini in the house. What's up, Ray? I'll load your clip up, sir, and we'll give you the proper shout out when the Tiger gets here. And yeah, the Tiger will be here in about 20 minutes. So yeah, as soon as I'm done talking G.I. Joe here. So let's get Ray's clip loaded up too. All right, let's do these shout out clips. I had to go get that music clip, and now we've got Ray Rudini. Boom, loaded up. Okay, now, so that takes us to the cartoon where, you know, right out of the gate, there's an episode where it was kind of before Serpentor and Cobra Commander was still in charge. Maybe that's when Jess will be here. Probably, dude. Yeah, whatever. Yeah, it's fine. You know, life is life. We do our thing, you know. Happy when you guys show up. Yeah. Trying to think of the name of that episode, and I was just thinking about it earlier, and naturally I get up here talking about it. Leaves the memory, but it was like the first episode they made for the second season, and you could tell that it was before Rise Serpentor Rise, because Serpentor wasn't in it and Cobra Commander was still in charge. And they called Dr. Mindbender the interrogator, which he wasn't the chief scientist yet. And so it was like their tester episode maybe for the second season. And Cobra had this underwater whirlwind thing that would, you know, basically cause tsunamis. And Wetsuit basically was trying to blow it up, and then Lady J and Flint infiltrated the base, and Lady J radioed Wetsuit and told him he was on the wrong access port, and he finally got to the right one, and he destroyed the thing, and it was pretty cool. And then, you know, it was for an opening scene, it was awesome. And they didn't have anything, him and Leatherneck didn't have much to do with each other. They didn't really even have the command structure settled yet. Beachhead was in it, but he wasn't like one of the leaders. It was Flint, Lady J leading that team, so it was pretty cool. And then, you know, you had the Rise Serpentor Rise, and it established the characters as they would be in the cartoon, which was pretty cool. And they had him and Leatherneck had quite a few big scenes in that. You know, the Cobras lit the ocean on fire, and there was you know, they caused an oil spill and then lit the ocean on fire, trying to gather all the DNA. And I might be mixing that up with another episode of the second season. I'm more of a first season guy, but I still love a lot of the second season episodes too. And Wetsuit, he was in the most dangerous thing in the world, where him and Leatherneck made the point that the most dangerous thing in the world was an officer in the dark with a book of matches, an inexperienced officer in the dark with a book of matches. It was pretty cool. Him and Leatherneck were just always fighting. Lifeline was trying to stop them all the time. Most of the rest of the shows were just like, stay out of it unless it really interfered with what they were supposed to be doing, but it usually didn't. They were arguing, constantly insulting each other. One of my favorite lines of Wetsuit is when Leatherneck said to him, "Excuse me if I sound like a total lame brain," and Wetsuit says, "You're excused, lame brain." And that was just the relationship they had, and they were like best buds. Ninja Holiday was one of my favorites. Okay, I remember this one really well because I've watched it many times. Beachhead was the team leader. They were in the jungle, and Wetsuit and Sergeant Slaughter was in that episode too. And Wetsuit, he was only in like 3 or 4 of the original, the second season, other than the Rise Serpentor Rise. But this one, he was there with Beachhead. Beachhead was in command, but he was Sergeant Slaughter, so you know he gave an order, and then the other Joes followed it. But Wetsuit had signed up for a tournament which was against Joe regulation, and so Sergeant Slaughter got mistaken for Wetsuit and got taken to the tournament in his place. And so they went Beachhead and Beachhead and his team had to go back to get Sergeant Slaughter. Because Beachhead went back home. He's like, Sergeant Slaughter can take care of himself. And Hawk is all, what do you mean you left him behind? You need to go back and get him. So they went back, and Wetsuit, as they were in the jungle, was holding the drag position, was in the rear. And he got taken by these guys running the tournament. And he ended up being put up against Sergeant Slaughter, who was pretending to be him at the tournament. So it was kind of an interesting little storyline. And basically, Sergeant Slaughter just started whooping his ass. It was funny. He goes, hey, what are you doing? I had a friend who was in the Marine Corps and said he had a sergeant named Slaughter. It's highly possible, dude. Slaughter is actually a common last name. And I'm sure there are several Sergeant Slaughters in Marines, military, Army, Air Force, whatever. I'm sure they've had them. I'm sure they've had Major Slaughters. But yeah, and Robert Remus, that's just his stage name. His name isn't really Sergeant Slaughter. He never was a sergeant, but he played the part and he played it well, and it was pretty cool. That was his wrestling name. And he was Sergeant Slaughter in the wrestling world. So, when he joined G.I. Joe, he was still Sergeant Slaughter. Wetsuit, as a character, I thought they had a lot of fun with him in the second season. And like I said, not so much in the Deke series, but he was there, and he did his thing and he did his job. And he's a SEAL, so he's a tough Joe. I mean, going toe to toe with a Marine like Leatherneck, and beating each other up all the time, but having fun doing it. They weren't trying to kill each other or anything. Lifeline the one time said, "You guys don't really want to fight, do you?" And they pushed him out of the way, and they said, "The heck we don't!" And they started pounding at each other. They were just brawling, dude. And that's what Joes do. Part of the finals to become a Joe, they all get in a pit and brawl until the sergeants say stop. The drill instructors, and so I don't think they're doing anything they weren't doing before they got there, as on the Joe team, except for maybe Lifeline. But who's supposed to be a pacifist and G.I. Joe? What's happening in his outfit? But I liked a lot of the lines that the Wetsuit had. Would I do a thing like that, and we'll use a silver bait. And it says, it looks like I'm volunteering again, He had a nice, deep, cool voice, a little bit of an accent to him, They had a lot of fun with this character, and I enjoyed him. And so that's going to take me to how I see Wetsuit and how he lands in my head canon, as it were. And he's on a Bravo team with Leatherneck. He's on that squad, and Leatherneck is the squad leader. And when he goes on Navy missions, Shipwreck is usually the leader, or Torpedo, the warrant officer, or Cutter, the lieutenant. But I've promoted him up higher ranks than that over the years. In my head, in my story, there's people get promoted, and they don't just stagnate. And so he started out at E5, if I recall, or E6, which is E6 is a petty officer, first class, and then he becomes a chief petty officer in E7, and that's where I have it. It's a chief petty officer. That's me. I dig Wetsuit. He's a cool character. My take on Wetsuit. I hope you enjoyed it. And we're going to jump into some Fridays from the Hilt, but I do have a couple of videos to share with you, and then the outro. But on that note, Logan out for this Joe Take. See you in a bit for Fridays from the Hilt. If I can find the assets to play them. Tiger's all, you done already? It's like 10 minutes till 7. So yeah, I'm done. I did good. You're right on time. All right. So here it is on Joe Takes 86. And I got a little clip for you, and then we'll have some fun. Actually, I'm going to do the clip first. Let's do that. Let's see what we got going on here today.
Watch New Joe Takes live on Fridays from the Hilt. All the same G.I. Joe fun just found a new home. Fridays from the hilltop.
Steel on steel beneath the tide. No place left for fools to hide. The deep runs black, the charges light. Tonight the sea learns how to fight. Where silent killers never rise. Minefields waiting cold and still. Another job, another thrill. Harpoon loaded, blade held tight. Breathing darkness through the night. Cobra eels can't stand their ground till they hear that thunder sound. Pressure don't mean nothing here. Fear's the one thing I don't wear. Give me orders, point the way. I'll make my own kind of day. Sea of fire, light the blue, burning straight on through. Every charge another spark, turning oceans into dark. Sea of fire, hear me roar, blow that fortress off the shore. When the smoke meets morning's light, the mission's done. We own the night. Hey, hey, rock. He's heard it all. Never cared for protocol. He's no guest at fancy teas. He'd rather bring 'em to their knees. Knife and grit, that's all I need. Never learn the word retreat. If it's breathing cobra air, he's already headed there. Nobody told him not to try. Nobody said don't make 'em fly. One more fuse and one more grin. That's exactly where he'll begin. See ya.
My room full of Joe take dreams. Crimson guard with eyes on the team. Snake eyes, silent and mean, but tough to rile. Roadblock rhymes and cooks with style. Duke has the first shirt, making with a plan. Cobra commander schemes with his clan. Scarlet sharp hits, hard flips fast. Destro's armor gleams from the past. My G.I. Joe takes fierce and honest view. Red versus blue, it's up to you. Stay a while and listen for the consumerism. My G.I. Joe's takes given with enthusiasm. Zartan shifting sneaks in disguise. Storm shadows blade cut through lies. Baroness cold with her deadly aim. Shipwreck laughs wins the game. Doc's healing hand in the fray. Flint shotgun clears the way. Major Blood's battle cry echoes near. General Hawk leads, we cheer. From the hilt on YouTube, tune in for a day. Joe takes to help you with your play. Let's put these characters to the test. I'm Logan, the G.I. Joe gamer, and I play it best. Yo, Joe!